Streaming. Okay, are we streaming now?
Just a second. Yeah. Is it thumbs up?
Okay, very good. So we're streaming, and we are almost set completely to go. I appreciate everyone's patience, and particularly Tiago's, who's been here and making this all work for us. So let me just do one last tweaky thing, and hopefully that will get me out of mess. Okay, of course not. Okay, so anyway, thanks everyone for joining us. Okay, with that, Tiago, thank you very much for joining us. I'm Paul Siegel. This is Tiago Costa, who is the guru in this discussion. I'm the talking head here to kind of entertain, actually try to guide the conversation more accurately. But today's discussion is really all about Azure and the careers that you can build in and with Azure, which is fantastic. And Tiago has been in that world of both technology and the cloud, and most particularly Azure, for quite a number of years. So thanks for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, Paul, it's a pleasure to be here today with everyone.
Okay, so why don't you just take us back and just a little bit of your own personal history in the world of technology. Start really kind of basic, going way back when, and then how you got into cloud technology, and then how you got most specifically into the passion around Microsoft Azure, which you obviously have.
So I started my career just many years ago already. I don't even keep counting anymore, to be totally honest with you. But it's just more than 20, I think. I stopped at 20. Some people start to have birthdays. They start to have birthdays at 40. I started my career at 20 years, and that's enough. So I've always been passionate by technology, to be totally honest with you. So I can't say that I had the chance to go to a different career because my path was already made for me, and I've been disassemble and assemble computers since I had like 6 years old. My dad used to work in technology too, and I always had technology in my house. It used to be called fax servers and things like that. So it has been technology in my life, and it's like in my DNA for sure. Lately, some years ago, I was bored, to be honest, in doing what I was doing. I was working with a technology that is a great technology, but I was just being bored. I was bored. I was like, yeah, whatever again. And one day I wake up and I said, no, look, this needs to change. I'm really not liking this. And I have to confess that on that day I got a project in my company to work with something called Red Dog. And I was like, Red Dog, what the hell is that? And basically it was the previews of Azure. For people that don't know, that was the Azure code name. And I look at it, and let's just say, okay, he had these challenges back in the days, okay? But I started to engage more with that, then it became Windows Azure, and I said, this is it. There is really something in this technology that I think this is going to change the world, or at least it might not, but I like this, so yeah, I'm going to start to bet on this. It took me some time, because as you can imagine, in the beginning, when you started to talk about, Windows Azure Cloud, and everyone look at you like, I'm not going to put my servers to run in the internet. No way. That's not secure. That will never run. And I heard all the comments that you can't even imagine. And then, well, I think today everyone knows how big all the clouds are, not only Microsoft, also AWS, Google Cloud, Alibaba, Oracle, IBM, and yeah, they control the world of computing today. Let's face it, okay? And I've been working full-time for the past 8 years. I think it's 8-9 years with Azure, and only Azure, and it's the only thing that I do. And I've been helping companies moving workloads, building native cloud workloads, and of course I try to do 50-50 and also training people and helping people get certified so that of course they can do a better job in their companies. And today that's exactly what I was doing. So I'm helping a customer, and we divided the class in two groups. That's one group in the morning, one group in the afternoon. I'm based, by the way, in Europe, so it's already 7 p.m. for me right now. And we have been training them, and we are helping them also achieving more with the cloud and moving their workloads to the cloud. This is just the first phase of the project, which is train the team. If you don't train your team, they will not know how to work with the product. They will not embrace the product. They will make everyone's life miserable because they want to block because they don't know. They will say, I don't want to touch on this, which is, look, it's our nature as humans. If we're not comfortable with something, we don't want to do it. And in here, we're just making them comfortable so that they can do a great job. And I think some of them are watching this. I told them about this, so I'm sure that some of them are watching us. Okay?
Right now. No, it's interesting because, I guess, sort of even to roll it back to something fairly fundamental, I actually had my early days be pre-cloud, and was, we had servers, we had a co-location facility we used, and one of the moments, the kind of what I call the aha moment for me was what was wrong with that. It was not the fact that you had to go down and maybe you had to change a hard drive that failed, even in a RAID array. Maybe it wasn't that, this computer was lagging. It was when I went down there, and one of the prior tech people, a woman in fact, had been working on the servers, and she was quite competent, but she was wearing a bracelet, and she had reached in behind the servers, and her bracelet came off, and I guess she didn't know that, because maybe it was, loose on her wrist, obviously. And when I saw a bracelet sitting in the bottom of the server cabinet, behind the servers, into the wires, I realized this is probably not the best way to manage your servers. It was something fairly fundamental that, you're worrying about all the scalable technology, and there you have someone's bracelet stuck in the middle of the wires that could do who knows what, short circuit something. Forget the fact that you lost your bracelet. So, there's sort of this notion that there had to be things done differently, right? And until you kind of distill it, I think, for some people, down to the level of, these are computers. These are computers sitting all over the world. But now, instead of worrying about having someone to go fix a hard drive and take their bracelet out of the bottom of a file cabinet, of a server cabinet, you actually have it on demand, right? So your kind of point and click is both the good news and the bad news, right? In some level. As you're pointing out, you don't know what to click, and if you click something and you don't know what you're doing, you can do some significant damage.
Yeah, definitely. I can tell my what is my view on how powerful the cloud was when I had to do a project that I already had done in the past, but on the on-prem world, which was building a solution for a very known company in the world. And many years ago, without cloud, we had to make their website available and distributed across the world. And I personally went with a colleague to the United States, to Singapore, to some countries in Europe, and to Australia, okay, to meet and to see data centers and choose the right data centers for us. So my company back then paid me 4 or 5 trips to the US, 4 or 5 to Singapore and Australia. We did that in a row. I traveled the world. I'm not complaining about that. Look, definitely not complaining.
There was the upside as well.
But it was me, my colleague, plus expenses, plus all of this, something that today you don't have to do. Today, you just go to your cloud provider, just go to the Azure portal, and just say, okay, I want a machine there, and there. And there you go. In like 2 hours, you will have all the stuff deployed that we took months of planning, months. And this was a multi-million-dollar project, okay? That was super expensive today. Most of that money we don't need to spend. And so this is the power that we have today with the cloud, is reach our customer base like in no time. And it's not only the big customers that can do this. Mid-sized businesses can do this. Small companies can do this. Okay? Like today, a small company, they can have a conference call system like Microsoft Teams or WebEx or something like that on the cloud. It's just a service. You just get it and you just have it, which is exactly the same tools that the big guys use. And it's making this more fair to the world. This is the power, of course, that we have. It's one of the powers that we have with the cloud, for sure. Making sure that people that are in countries that usually they don't have that many chances, to get access to proper technology, but now they can. They get access to the same thing as people in first world countries use, and that's like amazing. That power that we can put on people and teach people how to use technology is like, for me, to be totally honest, one of the things that I most like to do is getting people getting back to me and say, hey Tiago, I had you at my trainer in one of your courses, and now because of that I got certified, and I got a new job, or I changed role in my company, and I'm basically doing this and that now that I couldn't afford to do back in the days. That's also something that is just not me teaching them. It's also the cloud that allows that to happen. So it's all this mixed, It's amazing.
It's a democratizing. It's kind of going back to whenever it was the idea of the world is flat. That in fact that we've made it slipstream. The ability to pass knowledge around very fast, to share knowledge very fast. At the same time, put, as you said, from small to middle to huge companies, kind of on some level of a similar playing field. Forget the political stuff, forget everything else going around it. But from a technical point of view, a company, that is very small can scale rapidly, and it doesn't really have to, as if it's architected its technology correctly, can do that. So, you're a young person, let's say, you're getting into the field, you're figuring out, okay, there's the Microsoft cloud, there's the Google cloud, there's this cloud, and there's this cloud. All of these clouds, like going back when, have had very expensive consultants, right? You make a lot of money as a consultant. So all of these clouds will provide a lot of resources and very good salaries and compensation. So what is it in the Microsoft cloud that makes you so committed? Obviously, you have other technical skills, but what is it about the Microsoft cloud that says to you, this is great? What do you really love about it in particular? Just the overall, not the infrastructure as service, platform, all that kind of stuff we'll get into. But what is it overall about their approach that you like?
Okay, so the Microsoft Cloud for me, what as a person that I'm entering in the market right now, is the customer base that Microsoft has. That the other clouds don't have that. Microsoft is in these countries for years. Like Microsoft's a 40-something years company now, or almost 50, and they have thousands of employees spread across the world. They have employees like in every single country. They have an office. They have people there. They have been doing business with. They've been doing business with those customers in those countries, with governments, for years now. They didn't got like 5 years ago and build an office there, okay? The other clouds are still building that bit, because they didn't have a business. They started now, let's just say, well, not now, but you guys get the idea, right? In the past years. So, like Google has small offices in some countries, okay? They don't have big offices. And they have some big offices, but then most of the countries are pretty small for them. But Microsoft, no. Microsoft has this huge, and then they have the partners network that they have that is like huge. So all of this together makes me believe that, definitely to work with me as a person that I want to start to work with some cloud is where the best opportunities are right now, and they will be in the future. Not saying that the other clouds are not great, because they are, okay? Let's face it. And that's good to have competition.
No, but as you're pointing out, which is really kind of an interesting thing that you said, I didn't expect that answer, by the way. It's a very brilliant answer because the bottom line is technology is technology. You could have the world's best technology, but if you have no business and if you have no means of getting it out there, and it's, you know, if you're in Portugal, there are people in, you know, in countries that are fractions of that size and fractions of the size of any country that can actually get customers because they're probably running business applications from Microsoft. And therefore, what's the logical cloud they're going to use? The logical cloud they're going to use is probably an Azure cloud. So it's not to say that the other clouds aren't good, as you said. So when you're getting into this Microsoft cloud world, what's your first, you know, everyone says get a certification, but what's your first orientation? What do you have to think about as a student, student meaning a new employee, a fresher, someone just into the cloud technology world? What is your first? What do you need to understand first?
How to get a subscription.
Okay, that's good. Good point. Very good. How do you get? And they're free, right? They're free. You get a free subscription,
and you can get a free subscription. I think it gives you like $200 for 30 days.
Right.
That's like what I tell everyone: get a subscription.
Right.
Without a subscription, you can read a lot. You can see a lot of videos, but if you don't practice,
right.
What are you doing? If you take a certification and you don't know really the product on how to do stuff, real world experience, that can have it by doing some labs. There are practices. Just go there. Just if you don't find any practice, just imagine some stuff like, hey, I'm a company. What do I need? I need a web server to host my website. Okay, let's just build that. Research, find how to do that, and you have a subscription. Just do that, and you will learn tons in the process. It will be easy. Of course not. Nothing is easy. You will struggle in the beginning. Yeah, for sure. Watch some videos. It will help. Watch some trainings. Of course, it helps. But that's the main one.
Start with a
a subscription.
Right. Kind of an obvious answer, but not so obvious, right? People think that I have to first get a class. First, I have to jump into a class. No, it's like turn your VCR on, right? Press the buttons. Maybe open the manual.
Yeah.
Kind of look at some of the first pages. I know people don't read the whole thing, but get into it. Try it out. There's sandboxes out there. That's right. And of course, you have courses on our system that allow people to get access to understand these things. So there's all sorts of ways about this. Talk a little about infrastructure as a service versus platform versus a service versus software as a service. How do you simply describe that for someone? What's the best way to describe that?
So I usually describe this as like infrastructure as a service, virtual machines. You have to take care of the OS, you have to take care of the security. You just don't take the virtualization down. So hardware virtualization is gone. It's not up to you, it's the vendor. But starting on the VM, you have to do this. Most people that work in the company, they also don't work with that. Okay, they already got that as a service by some other colleague that does that for them. It will not massively change your life to run stuff like this. Don't be afraid of the change. Then we have platform as a service. That's where the fun in the cloud really starts, because I don't have to manage the operating system, like installing updates. And I usually tell, what does updates give to you, to your company, business-wise? Oh, I installed an update. What do you get to the business? Zero, nothing. So why are you doing that? Why are you losing time with that when it could be focused on building applications for your customers? That's where you need to be. Building apps, making your users' lives easier, so that they can be more productive, so that you can really have an intrinsic value out of your work from your company. That platform as a service really gives you that. And you have services in the cloud, in the Azure cloud, like App Service, where I can build you a website and host a website like in no time, like I don't know, like 2 minutes, and it's up and running with custom domains, with an SSL certificate. I just need to have the website ready, of course. The coding the website is what takes time in this process, of course, but you can have that. It has integration with DevOps processes. So all of that is taken care. And because Microsoft controls Azure DevOps, it controls amazing development technologies like .NET Core, Signal R, I forgot the name of one of the new front-end technologies that they also have. And they also have this ecosystem that is amazing. And every developer that works with like Visual Studio Code, they love to work with that. They're like, wow, these are amazing tools. And Microsoft is very known for taking care very well of their developers. And then we have other stuff like SQL databases, for example. And usually I describe that, and one of the things that I say to people is, you will never, ever in your life need to do upgrade of the servers again, because you're always working in the latest version. What version are you using? The latest, and that's it, okay? You get the features, bam, right away when Microsoft launches. This is what it is fun to work with the cloud, is that I don't need to have IT systems like thinking about that, oh, we have version 2019 or 2020 or 2021 of product X, Y, or Z, and install it and then migrating the content to that one, and the money that you spend on all of that, it's gone. It doesn't exist. You're always working with the latest version. Then, software is a service. I usually describe it like Office 365, Teams, SharePoint Online, Exchange Online. You just need to create a subscription, a tenant, and you get that. Like I said before, you get the same thing as the big companies get, and you don't need to take care of your data. You don't need to take care of your run times. Nothing is totally something as a service. And this allows you to do what? Focus on your business. Because most companies, let's face it, they're not consulting companies. They produce a product. They have a service that is not IT related. They don't need to be there building software, and they're not a software house, you know? They need to be focused on the processes, focusing on what they have. And in the Office 365 world, we have amazing tools like Power Automate, Power Apps that builds amazing things in just no time. So focus on that. So this is basically, in a recap, the way that I resume this.
Well, you know, you said it. It's you put a really good point. Just like you said, you know, get a subscription. You know, you've made this very clear that you're, as a developer, if you're in the software or administrator or someone working in the tech world, you have to be business thinking. You have to be thinking about the business, and you therefore have all that clutter, which could I guess would be good billable time, upgrading a server, replacing a hard drive, making sure people are provisioned to use Exchange. It's now so simple. Now you've got to focus on what is the business value that I'm bringing to my customer. What is and the customer could be you as a consultant. The customer could be you as a developer inside a company.
Every good IT person loves technology. And we all love, to build amazing, complex solutions. I like it. Look, I'm not going to lie. But in the end, I need to give a step back and say, okay, but is this customer really going to need such a solution? No, they just need something to work, and they need it, this yesterday. Because, your competitors will not wait for you to launch stuff. If they can launch it first than you, they will. So you just need something that works, and is, of course, it's secure, it's stable, it's highly available. So we need to guarantee quality, and quality is key here, but why complicate what needs to be simple, and just build something simple. Though I usually have an analogy to this, which is building an atomic bomb to kill an ant. Okay, and we all love that, but we need to really see that doesn't need to be done.
So when you enter into the Microsoft Cloud offering, what's the learning path? We call them journeys. What are the learning paths that you think are the most effective? Step one. What's the first step? Now that you've got your account set up, you played around a little bit, you put up your itsme.com website. Now what's you've now done a lot of playing around and watch some videos, and maybe what's your first course that you want to take? What's the first course in the Microsoft world?
I definitely say to everyone, take the Azure fundamentals. It seems to be a little bit obvious, but I will explain why. And sometimes people are like, hey, I already work in the Azure space, or I already work in technology, so why I will take a fundamentals? Because the name, let's face it, it takes those people away. Those people are like, fundamentals, that's not for me, I'm already pretty good in Azure. But I tell everyone, you take that journey, you will learn something for sure.
Right.
And more important, you're going to take an exam. And it's a exam that is accessible, let's be honest. It's not a hard exam. But you get how exams work. You practice questions in a real exam. How Microsoft does the questions. How is the exam structure. All of that. And then don't stop there, of course. Go and take an Azure administrator or take an Azure developer if you are more on the administration journey or on the development world. And again, sometimes I have people act like, I want to be an Azure architect, and I'm already doing some architect level stuff. Right. I always tell everyone, always take the administrator. It will tell you about stuff like, for example, creating virtual machines, basic networking. It will tell about storage. It will tell you about Azure AD. All these are fundamental services for every single customer that we have in Azure. It will tell you about governance. Don't forget about governance, okay? That's like massively important. And the biggest mistake in the industry is that people are not doing proper governance still today. And then they have the Wild West, in their cloud subscriptions. And so we have to do that. And this is stuff that is taught on the Azure Administrator. So I always tell everyone should take that course and take that certification so that they can basically get there. And the certification, sometimes people, they say not good things about certifications, and I tell them, okay, if you don't like certifications, that's fine. But think about certifications as a way for you to be challenged, for a way for you to organize the way that you need to study. Because that's my goal, is to get that certification. What I need to learn, and Microsoft already has. Look, this is what you need to learn. Something that makes sense. Something that all that together makes the job role of an Azure administrator. Sometimes people don't know where to start to study. But that way, they have a guide. And then in the end, they pass on the certification. That's like the cherry on top of the cake. But more important is not the certification, is not the cherry, is what you have learned in that journey. And you said it well. It's a journey, okay? For sure. That's what is important. Is what have you learned?
Yeah. And it's interesting, as our new platform rolls out this next week, actually. People are going to see all of these journeys, and they're going to see all of these challenges, what we call challenges in live labs. And what's interesting is that you can only do if you've learned. So if you have to have those fundamental building blocks in place, and it's like my father was a doctor, but he used to love woodworking. And if you didn't know how to use a screwdriver, you're going to take a screwdriver and look at it like a chisel. Because you could use it as a chisel. Now, you might want to use it as a chisel once you knew it was a screwdriver, because you needed it for that one moment, and that when you didn't have the chisel near you. So there's all sorts of, my analogy is that you don't have the fundamentals in place. You don't even know what the tools are used for. So you've pointed that out very clearly. Yeah, in the last minute we've got here, I really want to sort of talk about, what are your favorite courses to teach? What do you really love to teach? I know you love hands-on practical work and engage with students, but what's your favorite course to teach?
That's really a hard question, because I learned to teach all my courses, to be totally honest, because I'm very lucky and I really do what I love, and I'm like probably super lucky to do that. all the courses have something that I like. I love the Azure Architect, especially if you have students that already have done stuff, etc. And you make and you design solutions with them, and they are like, wow, amazing, because I know that they can take that, they will take that back to their companies. Like next week they will be improving stuff that can save thousands of euros to them. I love to teach the fundamentals, so that onboard new people into the cloud, people that have like zero knowledge on how this to work, and like in a few hours of training, they get to know already something that's very valuable. I love to teach the Azure administrator. That's what I was teaching this week, for example. And that's like amazing, because my students get to the point where they didn't knew almost anything, to the point that they are really good at what they're doing already, because they got proper knowledge on governance, Azure AD, virtual machines, app services, SQL databases, monitoring, backing up stuff, etc. And now, of course, they need to practice this in the real world and in real life. But they got like it's a super complete knowledge on the basis of Azure, you know. I love the Azure developer, because we get Visual Studio Code open, we start coding, and we start basically to build applications that interact with storage, interact with search, and we have so many amazing services on Azure that makes the life of developers so much easier, so much productive. So it's like all of them has that beautiful thing that makes and does a click into your students, and they're like, wow, this is like amazing. And when people say amazing, I'm like, yeah, I'm doing a good job. So that's the idea.
One of the things that comes across, and obviously anyone who watches this and anyone who knows you, it's pretty clear that not only are you passionate about what you do and you love what you do and you're lucky to do what you love, but you're also thinking not only technically, you're thinking strategically. And you've made that very clear in your discussion that, it's very clear that you've got to be thinking strategically if you're going to be working in the cloud. And obviously you're a great instructor to have someone guide them. And I appreciate the time and looking forward to collaborating on courses.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to be here.
Thanks.